Hey guys, Benjamin here from Lean Strong Fitness. Want to do a quick follow-up based on the response we got about the last back pain video. So today we're going to show you 2 more exercises you can do if you're feeling some low back pain. So as we all know, we sit way too much. Our bodies are meant to move. One of my good friends, Dr. Phil, has a really great saying that if you don't move it, you lose it. We've all heard this before, we all acknowledge it, we all kind of nod our head like it's true. But the reality is it actually is true. Our bodies are really good at maintaining what we're able to do. But when we sit for half an hour at breakfast, and then we maybe drive to work, and then we sit for 8 or 9 hours in the office, and then we drive home, and then we sit for dinner, and then we sit again in front of the TV, we spend way too much time sitting. So like with the last video, this isn't going to be a catch-all of like, do these 2 things and it'll change your life. But if you do these 2 things consistently, I bet you're going to see a difference. So because your hip flexors, everyone knows your hip flexors flex your hip, they actually attach at your low back, cross the pelvis, and then attach with your quads. One of your quads actually is a hip flexor. So when we're always sitting in this position, our hip flexors get short. You can see the line between here and here is short. So the muscle's always short and it's feeling tight. That's why we always want to do that stretch. But when people do a hip flexor stretch, they kind of butcher it most of the time and they don't get the right mobility from the right place. So today we're going to show you how to mobilize your hip flexors with an easy to do stretch that you can do at home in your office. And then we're going to do an activation exercise to get your glutes active. Because if you stretch the muscle on the front of your body, you want to activate the opposite muscle. So because you're stretching the front, you want to activate the back. So first I'm going to get Justin to demo what we normally see as a hip flexor stretch. So you can see here he's really leaning into it. You put your shirt tight. So then you can see he's also getting a lot of the movement out of his low back here. So even though we're trying to stretch the muscle that goes in the front of the hip, we're getting the movement from the wrong places. So I'll get you to reset. What I want you to do when you stretch your hip flexor is first start by tucking your tail. So you should feel a squeeze. Yeah, you can see him kind of hunch over a little bit. And you should have a squeeze in his right glute, the leg he's got down. And then you're just going to sink slightly forward. So you can see here he's getting not as big a movement, but you're feeling in the right spots, right?
Yeah.
So the difference between that huge arch and getting a good setup first, you're getting the movement coming from the right spot. If we can release that hip flexor a little bit, it's less pull on the low back because that hip flexor attaches to the low back. So you're going to do 30 seconds on one leg, then switch. The nice part is you can do that at home in your office. So I'll get you to do this. Pretend this is your desk chair. Okay. Same thing, use your left knee on this one. You can put one knee on the chair, hands to support you at the back of the chair. Same deal, tuck your tail, and then get that hip flexor stretch. So you can see here, it's not that big of a movement. We're not trying to get that crazy spine movement in there. We just want to get the pull starting kind of the front of the thigh up through the hip. So same thing, 30 seconds per side. Now I'm going to make you go down into a glute bridge. Now because we've stretched the front, like I mentioned, we want to activate the back. So all you're going to do is start lying on your back. Feet are about shoulder width apart, so your legs are about 90 degrees or a little bit less. I'm just going to get you to a good one right off the bat. What you're going to think here is Justin's going to push his knees towards the wall, which is going to help him tuck his tail, and then he's going to lift his hips up to the sky. So do you feel butt squeeze?
Yep.
Hold that for about 2 seconds, back down and reset. And you're going to do a couple. So you might also get that sometimes too?
Yeah.
So if that's happening, keep pushing the knees to the wall, hold for a quick squeeze, and then back down. So the nice part here is you're taking a second to reset the bottom, because sometimes when people do this, they get the same movement from the back. We're really trying to emphasize, like the hip flexor stretch, get the right muscles doing the right thing. Good. Push the knees away, hips up, hold for 2, and back down. So if you do the hip flexor stretch, 30 seconds per side, 10 glute bridges with a 2-second hold. If you do that once, even twice a day, especially when you've got those long days of sitting, give it a shot for a week, see how your back pain feels. Thanks for your time. We'll have something new for you next week.